This podcast is part of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed may not represent other podcasts or affiliates of Gonna Geek. Check out more podcasts at gonnageek.com and get ready because geekiness starts in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance level 10. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents of equal or higher security clearance.
And now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Agent Lauren.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. one-shot number 12. We're doing Iron Man 3. Woohoo!
Hey!
And Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the television show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also the general Marvel Universe. Just a reminder, you can go to our website at legendsofshield.com, find all the great ways to contact each one of us, and you can also leave a voicemail for us at 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871. And last week we gave away a lanyard on a case-by-case basis. We chose, I hope, wisely, and Jarek won. We announced that last week. I haven't had a chance to mail it yet because he got it to me before I left town, but when I get back home, I will mail it to him, and hopefully we'll get a nice picture of him with it. But this week, we have something else for everybody, don't we?
Yes, we do. And whoever wins it, expect somebody to burgle your house very soon after you receive it, because I want it too. It is
We all want
Coulson's.
it, don't we?
We all want it. It's Coulson's badge.
Yes.
Like, legit.
Totally. I picked his pocket, got it from him. So we've got the identification card and the S.H.I.E.L.D. badge all in the same little leather holder. It's great. So, what are we going to have people do this week?
Well, as you all know, SP is always wrong.
Hey, not always.
And as you all know, always.
Always.
And as you all know, we like receiving phone calls. So we want you to call into our phone line, 844-THE-BUS-1, and tell us your favorite SP is wrong moment.
Wait a minute. I didn't agree to this.
Bonus points if you call in drunk and do it.
This is not what I agreed to before the cast.
You have no say in these things.
What do you mean I have no say? I edit the podcast. I can edit this whole thing out.
No, you can't. You don't have internet right now. Ha 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 ha.
That's true. I don't. I am podcasting through the magic of my 4G phone. No computers necessary this week. So.
Okay, so you get bonus points if you call in drunk. You'll also be ranked on how funny the SP is wrong story is and how wrong he is in the SP is wrong story.
I'm not always wrong.
Always.
Not always. If you go over to Voices of Defiance this week, you'll find a couple of great theories I've got over there. So I'm not always wrong. All right. We'll see.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Okay, this is not what we agreed to, but I'll tell you. We'll try it for a week. We'll see what kind of responses we get back, and I might go with it. It sounds like it might be fun. Might be. So
it'll be fun for me.
Ditto.
All right. Well, it's all about the fun for the ladies. So all right. Okay.
Damn right.
So that's what we're doing for Coulson's badge. I'll post a picture of it up on the Twitter and the Facebook, and Lauren, you can grab it and throw it on the, I guess, you know what? I saw you got the Tumblr page up. That's great.
I do. So far, it's less active than I would like because I've had kind of a rough week, but I will be adding more stuff to the queue. I will be adding the picture of Coulson's completely awesome badge, and follow it, and you will see all sorts of awesome stuff that I'm reblogging.
Yes. Lauren is quite astute and active on the Tumblr usually, so I usually go to her page to figure out what's going on in the universe. So it'll be on there, and so you can take a look at it. It's an actual replica, and you have a chance to win it. All right, so we have a lot of news this week. We kind of truncated it because I am on vacation, but we'll start off from a repeat from last week, and that was the what kind of Marvel woman are you, or which Marvel woman are you? So I did take the quiz, and I ended up to be Miss Marvel.
Pretty good.
So if anybody was wondering what kind of Marvel woman SP was, it's Miss Carol Danvers.
Star Pie is an independent woman.
Star Pie. Is that my Thor handle now? Yep. Thor is a woman now. So yeah, I did see the what do you call it? The superhero text back and forth, and Iron Man was texting back and forth to Thor.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I followed that account on Tumblr.
Yeah, right. And Iron Man was saying, "Well, don't worry, Thor, buddy. You were a frog for a couple weeks once, so this is nothing." So okay.
Frog Thor is canon. And yeah, if all the people who are complaining about Chick Thor, I mean, we've had Frog Thor. For a while there, Asgard was in the middle of Oklahoma. Loki has committed a terrible slash upon the internet. Seriously, I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
No. Okay. And then the other quick hit on that is we found out that the Falcon will be becoming Captain America, at least in the comics.
Which was fairly predictable.
Which Haley did call last week.
She did. Haley, you're awesome.
I'm always right.
Not always.
Always. I'm always right and no one ever listens to me.
All right. So Ann Wolfe was cast in Daredevil.
No, Deborah Ann Wolfe.
Deborah Ann Woll, who people who watch True Blood may know as Jessica, A.K.A. as my husband says, if Jessica dies, we all riot.
So she's the Daryl of the show?
Pretty much, yeah. She's adorable. She really is.
So she's going to be playing Karen Page, Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson's secretary/love interest.
Daredevil's love interest. I mean, as far as I know, they don't have a three-way thing going on.
Well, she's been Foggy's love interest too.
I know, but they said specifically Daredevil's.
Okay.
I'd be fine with the three-way. And then also in Daredevil, we have a recurring character cast as well.
Yeah, we have, as of this afternoon, Peter Shinkoda has just been cast as an original recurring character. It's kind of been suggested, and by suggested I mean wild guessing, that he might be taking over the role of Matt Murdock's mentor, who in the comics was Stick, right?
Yeah.
And so, who knows? We'll see.
Okay. Don't know much about the Daredevil, so I'll be interested in learning about it. I've been learning a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy in the past few weeks, so I'm really hyped up to see that movie. We'll talk about that a little bit. But also, we have a new television series coming up in the fall, Agent Carter, and some of the supporting cast has been leaked now, too.
Indeed. Much like, remember when the call sheet was leaked for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Well, this is kind of a similar thing. On comicbookmovie.com, they have kind of the call sheet there. We have Deputy Director Roger Hooley, Agent Jack Thompson, Edward Hutchins, and Daniel Souza and Angie Martinelli. And a quick character breakdown, kind of in the same vein of the S.H.I.E.L.D. character breakdowns. And I have to agree with the commentator who said, I don't recognize any of these names as being established comic book characters.
Me either.
So we'll see. We'll see what they do. And I know that previously Dominic Cooper has expressed interest in coming back. Neil McDonough, I can't remember his name right now. The guy who played Dum Dugan
yeah. Mm-hmm.
has expressed interest in coming back. So we'll see.
That'd be great. I loved him in Band of Brothers too. And he was on Burn Notice. He's been on a ton of stuff, and he is a very talented actor, and I wouldn't mind seeing him around at all. He'd be a great addition to early S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess, is what we'll call it. And also, we heard from an interview with the Agent Carter producers this week.
Yes, we did. On superherohype.com, they did an interview with Tara Butters and Michelle, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Fazekas.
Sounds good to me.
They're already working for ABC on Resurrection, and they're just talking a little bit. It's kind of a light interview. They're talking a little bit about the setting and just what they are kind of hoping for. They both would also like to see Neil McDonough on the show. And they're both reading a lot of the Ed Brubaker Captain America. That makes me happy because that was a good run.
Yeah, hear a lot about that.
Yeah, it's not the most in-depth interview, but it's pretty good. Lets you know a little bit about the people who are going to be working on the show.
Now, when were we expecting this season to premiere? Is it like November, December timeframe, or We're talking, it's going to be in the middle, right? 'Cause Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will run their first half, and then Agent Carter will go, and then the second half.
That's my understanding, yeah.
And it's my understanding there's not going to be a week off between the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the end of S.H.I.E.L.D., that it's all just going to run straight through.
Right, on both sides. They're planning wall-to-wall production, yeah. Have we heard if the Agent Carter series is going to be in the same time slot as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I would assume it is, but I haven't heard.
I think so. I can't remember for sure if I heard that or if I just assumed it.
That'll be great. It'll be great for continuity both ways. And I would expect there to be some similarities between the two series. Like one would lead into the other a little bit, maybe. I mean, it'd be a great way to promote it anyway, but we'll see what they do and what they don't. Also, back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were nominated for an Outstanding Visual Effects Emmy. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Right.
I learned about it from a Clark Gregg Facebook post, and then was just, immediately liked it and went from there.
You drop a awesome red car through the sky, you get an Emmy. That's just how it works.
Yeah. They still need to fix it, too, just like we need to fix the bus. But I think the car has got a little bit more chance of getting fixed if they can find Tony Stark, which we'll talk about a little bit this week. A little bit kind of wondering, miffed about that. We'll see. Anyway, we also have a season 2 premiere date for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, we do. September 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Like we'd said earlier, I don't remember how many podcasts ago, it's been pushed back an hour, which hopefully means that they can kind of push the envelope a little bit more on what they can get away with.
Risky.
And September 23rd is not that far away.
It's 3 days before my birthday, too.
Ooh.
So it's a good birthday present.
Right?
Uh-huh. Especially if you get some agent butt, right?
I guess.
Agent
I prefer
sounds like a weird comic.
I prefer Chris Butt.
Which one?
Maybe.
Doesn't matter.
Any one of the three, right?
I think we got to get Chris Pine in on Marvel somewhere just to complete our collection of hot Chris's in Marvel movies.
Yeah. Although Star Trek that franchise is not owned by Disney yet, right?
No, that's why he could still get into a Marvel movie, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if there was going to be some weird crossovers between Star Wars and the Marvel universe or whatever. Like the Disney.
There have previously been Star Trek and X-Men crossovers. There's been 2.
That's right. That's right. There happened.
Yep. There was a comic one and there was a novel one. I have the novel. It is not very good. However, they do call the whole Professor X and Picard looking remarkably similar thing. And this was, I think, a year or 2 before the X-Men movie was announced.
Way to go, Jean-Luc Picard. Okay. And also, we have another story about Agent Coulson and S.H.I.E.L.D. in season 2.
Right. This is a little article I found it on Comic Book Resources. I'm not sure where the information originally came from, but it's just them talking a little bit about what's going to be going on in season 2. It says Coulson's team is going to be in a little bit of a pickle. Coulson's going to have a hard time trusting people. Duh. It also...
No.
Shocker. It also talks a little bit about the production, that the producers feel much more confident about season 2. And they also said that they have their arcs and their tent poles, and we have quite a few off the board. That's from Marissa Tankeron. And she also said we start producing our first episode next week.
Ooh.
So,
I know.
And this was posted this week, so that means probably by the time you hear this, they're going to be in production.
I know Arrow's been in production for a week already, so, and I don't know about Flash, but yeah, this is the time of year that they start production, so that's cool. Really looking forward to the season 2. I mean, really excited about it. Can't wait to figure out what Coulson is actually going to do, and are they going to pull Marina Hill in more? I mean, there's we need to do a whole episode or arc of episodes on what we expect in season 2, because this is turning out to be great. And talking along those lines, when this podcast comes out, you'll probably have a couple of days before San Diego Comic-Con, and we have the announcement of what's going to happen in terms of panels there.
Right. There's going to be a Marvel TV panel, which is going to include Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter. And that's going to be on Friday, July 25th, 3 to 4 p.m. in Ballroom 20. And then they're going to have a separate panel for the movie universe, which is going to be on Saturday, July 26th, from 5:30 to 6:30 in Hall H. So that might be some stuff that we talk about later on before season 2 starts.
Unfortunately, I can't be there to record it.
We haven't found anyone that will sneak Lauren into the con yet.
Yeah. I'm travel sized, guys. Come on. Fortunately, if they do anything like the last couple years, it'll all be up on YouTube.
I sure hope they do that. You know, I attended Comic-Con when it was relatively easy to get tickets. If you had a friend or whatever, you could wait in line and get tickets. So that was pretty cool. Nowadays, with the lottery that they're running online and stuff, it's very difficult, especially if you're coming from across the country. So them making these panels available the last 2 years just makes it still that much more of an event than otherwise would be, because a lot of people would do the same thing that I have and just give up on it because there's just no way. It's just too expensive, too far for me to travel, stuff like that. But I have enjoyed watching the panels on YouTube. You don't get the exclusive content. Like if they give out exclusive videos or whatever, you will not see those, but you would get to see the panel. And that's the important part in my opinion, because any exclusivity video you're going to eventually see anyway. Although there have been a couple of instances that you didn't, like the Doctor Who panel that they had. When was that? Last year or the year before, Haley? You remember what I'm talking about?
I think it was last year.
Yeah,
last year sounds right.
Yeah, because it had the first episode, right?
Well, it had special stuff on the 50th in it, I think.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the one from the year before.
Well, that would have been last year with the 50th anniversary. So
right. No, the one I'm thinking of though is the year before, because I think they got the first episode the year before.
Well, it was like 15 minutes of content or something like that from the season 7 or whatever. That's sort of ringing a bell. Look, if you really want to know the answer, go to the Gallifrey Public Radio. They did a whole episode on it, or at least a news segment on it back then. So just look that up. And it was before Haley's time on the podcast, but it's still a good podcast. And it's even better with Haley on it now. So there you go. So also stemming from all this announcements and San Diego Comic-Con coming up, stuff like that, we got a couple of spoiler stories out there. One for Avengers 2.
Right. This week's Entertainment Weekly did a whole Comic-Con preview, and their cover story was about Avengers 2. It's got just chock full
many pictures.
I haven't seen the actual article they did, but I linked to a summary of the article if you didn't want to go out and buy it.
There's been pictures from it just floating around Tumblr. There's one where it's like Rhodey is there and Cap and Hawkeye and Tony, and you see Mjolnir, and Hawkeye's perched on the back of the couch. And someone, I reblogged this one, I'm going to have to put it on the Tumblr, but somebody was like, oh my God, it's like every Avengers fanfic I ever read. Because they're all just kind of hanging out in the living room.
Right. But this, the article does have, if you're really averse to spoilers, it's got some spoilers for Avengers 2. So
I think I'll just go on Tumblr and get the pictures because I don't want to be spoiled. But this looks like it's great information. I'm just excited about this movie already. Unfortunately, we can't go straight to it. We have to go through Guardians of the Galaxy, which, oh, by the way, we have some spoilers, cameos on there now, too.
Yes, supposedly they've gotten the whole credits list from the end of the movie at this point, so they know like who Stan Lee's cameo is supposed to be and who Nathan Fillion is supposed to be playing, and who some other cameos might be in the movie as well. So again, if you're extremely averse to spoilers, don't look at this. But if you don't mind finding out who everyone's going to play, then you can look at this article.
I might take a look at this, but right now I'm leaning towards no. Are you taking a look at it right now, Lauren?
Yes, I am.
I kind of figured. Also, we're getting a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Now, I have to say that I took Lauren's advice. I have read the first trade paperback book of Conquest Annihilation, so I get to see the team up of the Guardians of the Galaxy in that novelization. But it looks like it's going to be different because I also read the Prelude trade paperback as well, and it's definitely going to be a different storyline than Annihilation Conquest. At least that's what I'm thinking with the jewels and stuff. So we'll see how that turns out. But we have new images from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, 9 new still images. Nothing quite as exciting as the ones that we got last week, but, some more images. And then just tons and tons of video. I found 5 videos. The first 3 are featurettes over the 3 of the characters, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Groot. And I'm not entirely certain that these are actually new. I just don't remember seeing them, and they were in new articles this week. So I'm assuming they're new, but I'm not sure that they are. And then there's also 2 new TV spots. And between all of these videos, like 20 seconds of new footage.
Yeah, all these links will be in our show notes. So if you haven't seen any of this stuff yet, you can click on them and get in there. But I can't wait till I get home because I really can't stream video. The Wi-Fi sucks here, and I don't want to use all of my data on my plan. So I'll watch them when I get home, and I will definitely post them in the show notes. We definitely had a lot of news this week. I'm guessing we're going to have a ton in the next 2 weeks with Comic-Con coming up. San Diego Comic-Con, got to be straight with that. So we'll see how it goes. So are you guys ready to talk about Iron Man 3?
I am ready to talk Iron Man 3.
I was born ready.
Yay! Yeah, so yeah, my Marvel Cinematic Universe film rankings don't change at all. Iron Man 3's on the bottom. But let's start off with a voicemail we got from our buddy Adam Nelson, and here we go.
Hey, agents, this is Adam. Just calling in some thoughts on Iron Man 3 since you're going to be talking about it next week. I don't have as many problems with it as a lot of other people seem to. I mean, it's not even in the top half of the other Marvel movies, but that's still, most of those are tough acts to follow. So, just a few thoughts on it. Despite how bad it could have gone, I did like the stuff with the kid because Tony treated him the exact same way he would treat an adult. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, the big twist with the Mandarin. I didn't like that, but not because I was a fan of the Mandarin in the comics or anything. It's just with how good of a job they had done building him up as this intimidating intellectual villain. It was just kind of disappointing to have him all of a sudden turn into the comic relief. I think I described it to my parents as if in Star Trek Into Darkness, at the end you found out it wasn't that Khan wasn't Khan, it was in fact Harry Mudd. So, that's my thoughts on that. One other thing with the final battle, I think it would have been a lot better if there had been like half as many extremist soldiers and half as many armors, but the armors had been more than just a bunch of armors. If there had been like specific moments where you saw that, like the one that was holding up the ship, that was a good moment. If there had been moments like that for more of the armors, I think that would have been cool. So they wouldn't have had it as the Mark 42 then, which I'm sure was a Hitchhiker's Guide reference. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Talk to you later. Bye.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the voicemail. Really appreciate it. Didn't know we were going to get one on Iron Man 3. That was awesome. Who wants to take their first stab at this?
I don't hate on Iron Man 3 like some people do. I still enjoy it a lot. I do think it's one of the weaker of the Marvel movies, though.
Yeah.
Again, whenever I have to rank Marvel movies, it's kind of like having to choose which of your kids is the favorite in a lot of ways. And it falls towards the bottom for me, mostly just because the others are at the top. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie. Yeah, I don't really get the hate.
So, well, I watched a couple times just going through it going, unfortunately, I couldn't watch it with the commentary because it's on the Blu-ray and we don't have a Blu-ray player here. But I did watch it a couple of times and it just didn't feel as tight as a movie. The dialogue wasn't as snappy. There wasn't a dedicated role for all of the participants throughout the entire movie. I mean, Happy gets... Jon Favreau's not directing the movie. He was off doing other things. So I'm glad they had Happy in this movie, but he could have had a bigger role throughout the entire movie. I think it was ingenious the way they did it, but it was just not entirely great. And then as far as the kid goes, that's a hard one because he wasn't really treating him like a kid or an adult. And it seemed like how he would treat a stranger, and he was restraining himself. He was trying to be a better person. So, Tony,
did you watch it with the commentary?
No, I didn't. I couldn't.
Okay, there was some really good stuff in the commentary. Shane Black and Drew Pearce, one of the co-writers, were the ones doing the commentary. Great commentary, by the way, really funny, and they kept interrupting themselves every so often to be like, okay, oh my God, we're not even talking about the movie. We're talking about like film theory and weird stories from other stuff. And I'm sorry we're being boring, but it wasn't boring. It was funny. Like, they're both really entertaining guys. But especially when it comes to the kid, they were talking about how they were trying to make it obvious that Tony sees a lot of himself in this kid, in that, you know, weird little science kid who probably gets picked on. And that's probably a lot of why he's talking to him like that, because he's basically using him as a device to talk to himself.
There's a little bit of that, although I don't know how he picked up on the fact that the kid was being bullied. There was no indications of that whatsoever. He just blurted it out, and then it was like, oh, it has to be true.
Well, there's another thing like that about that in the commentary. Originally, like, the kid was supposed to have a black eye or something, or I don't know. And then finally, they were just like, let's just like they were trying to make it so that it's like a nerd specific thing. But then they're like, wait a minute, it's not really universal though. So they just made it like everybody gets bullied at some point.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to find out how much changed between the different drafts of the script and the improv that they did and the actual, like, what made it to the screen. Like, this, again, speaking with the kid, there was originally going to be like so much more, and it was this weird, intricate plot, and the bully was supposed to show up at some point, and the kid's supposed to save him from drowning, and then they were just like, no, I don't think this is going to work.
I don't think that, see, that's my problem. I don't think the entire movie worked. I mean, it was an okay movie. I mean, in the Legends podcast rankings, I'd give it an entertaining. I wouldn't even go entertaining plus. It does continue the lore of Iron Man. It does continue what happened after the Battle of New York, which is important. I mean, Tony is gravely affected by this whole thing. And what's interesting is that it wasn't necessarily him that was affected, although that is the nightmare that we've seen. He is verbalizing the fact that he can't protect Pepper, and that's his number one priority, and that is what he has sunk all of his time into. There are aliens out there. He has to protect Pepper from these aliens, and that's why he makes all these different kinds of suits. It was interesting. It could have been done much, much better. I think that I'm not a movie producer. I'm not a writer or something like that. But in the same realm that Iron Man 1 and 2 and all the other Marvel movies were made, this wasn't cut as well at all. And I don't know if it's artifact of how it was placed in the series. I don't know if it's because Jon Favreau wasn't at the stick anymore. There's just je ne sais quoi. There's something that I can't really put my hand on, that this is definitely my least favorite out of the 9.
See, I have a lot to say about it, so Haley, why don't you go next?
I would say it just seems like several ideas were kind of mashed together to make this movie. Like, it feels like there's several different things kind of happening, and then they made one movie out of it, and none of them were really enough to carry the movie.
Right. That could have been it. And also, I'm looking at it, of course, from the S.H.I.E.L.D. perspective. And it's interesting, this is the first movie that comes along where there's actually a promotion at the beginning for a sneak peek or whatever for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Television series. So that was pretty cool. But there was no S.H.I.E.L.D. in this whatsoever. Really? Nothing at all?
I know. It's like, this is one where they really should have been there. Like, seriously, why aren't they dealing with this?
And then I know they probably they didn't know the storylines or whatever, but there was no mention of Hydra. There was no mention of Garrett. There was no mention.
Maybe the vice president was Hydra.
Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering. Like, how did the phone number get in the president's phone? And the biggest thing that I could go to was Hydra, but there was no.
They hacked it.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, but you have to have certain information to do that. And that
movie hacking.
Oh. And well, that would have been a perfect place for Sitwell, but that would have given away the whole Cap 2 thing. I don't know. There could have been something placed in here, a reference to it, if you will. They had to have known the storyline by that point in time of what was going to happen.
Maybe not, because this was a full year.
Think so.
Yeah, this was a full year before Cap 2.
And also, they were talking about how they were working on this movie for like 2 years before that, even.
Okay, and then this would have been a perfect place to intertwine some Quinn stuff as well. Maybe even back towards in the series itself later on, where you get shots of Quinn working with Killian. It's just what I'm thinking of there, or Maya or whatever. And the whole Maya Henson thing, I mean, that, okay, so you're no longer of use to me, I'm going to shoot you. That was like why are you even in this movie sort of
Because
thing.
he's the bad guy, duh.
No, not Killian, Maya.
I know, but that was his shoot the dog moment.
Oh.
Except,
Fair enough. Yeah. Are you calling Maya a dog? Is that what you just did?
You said it, not me.
You said the shoot the dog moment.
It's he's a bad guy because he shoots somebody in cold blood for no reason at all.
Yes, we definitely talked about that before. Okay, Lauren, shoot us with something here.
Okay. I actually like this movie. I think it's entertaining. I really like a lot of the elements in it. I was really happy that they included Maya Hansen in it because I liked her character in the Extremis arc and the Warren Ellis run on Iron Man. I wish they'd done more with her. I liked the Mandarin plot twist. I really liked Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery.
A.K.A. the Mandarin.
I love the way they did that. I loved a lot of the meta that you could take from that. And I liked how they subverted the whole Mandarin. Because I remember when they said, oh, yeah, the bad guy's going to be the Mandarin, being like, okay, well, the Mandarin was a racist caricature from the 1970s. How are they going to update it now without really pissing off some other ethnic group?
I was thinking the same thing.
This was a good way around it.
I was like, how are they going to make him work in a modern story?
Yeah, and when the director and the co-writer who were talking about this mentioned that, since one of the big themes in the movie was like masks and putting on false fronts and things like that, and trying to hide behind them, that they tried to make this mask of like what nowadays everybody thinks a terrorist looks like. And they made basically like a caricature.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did.
And like somebody like vaguely Middle Eastern, menacing, big speeches, put it on the internet, all that sort of thing, which we get out of, just like a hodgepodge of various terrorist organizations of the past, like 15, 20 years. But when you go back and you look at it, it's honestly, it's kind of a brilliant statement on like colonialism and branding and war profiteering. But my reason that I don't rank this movie higher and the reason that I don't watch it more is because it literally gives me panic attacks. I also have PTSD and anxiety. And one of the things that sets me off is seeing people freak out. And I talked about this before when I was still on Quantum Tavern. This is close enough to somebody actually having like a real panic attack that it kind of raises my own anxiety in like a sympathetic way and kind of sets me on edge for a while after.
And that could be another reason why it's not such a well-flowing movie is, like I said, Tony is really effective. And you see effective. He is really affected. And you see him.
Well, he's effective in making me freak the hell out. So.
And then he moves on, and you get the shawarma scene with Bruce Banner at the end.
That was I loved that. Science bros, man.
Yeah.
But just in general, this movie isn't as fun as most of the others.
No, it's not. It could have been cut tighter. I mean, a lot of the dialogue, it was just off. It wasn't spot on the way the previous three, and I'll count Avengers on it, but the previous three Iron Man movies were. I mean, Tony was on the previous three movies. In this movie, he wasn't. He was off, and I don't know if that was part of the point of the movie or if it was just the poor dialogue, or relatively poor in comparison to the other movies' dialogue. I mean, Pepper, she could have had a stronger role in the first half of the film before she got captured, and she just didn't. And then she disappeared until the very end scene, and she had to, quote unquote, get saved, and it turned out she saved Tony instead, which was pretty cool. I mean, I
did like that part.
Yeah, I was so... My biggest thing with Pepper in this movie was there was a scene in the trailers that made it look like she was going to be wearing the armor. And, she did for like a second, but I was so hoping that we'd get Pepper's rescue. So if we don't end up getting Pepper's rescue in a future movie, I'm going to be pissed. Okay.
She definitely needs her own suit. I mean, that's
yes.
Just a given. If you're dating the guy, you need your own suit. And the whole thing...
Seriously, he had like 40 of them. Why didn't he just have his Pepper suit already?
Okay, and that's another thing I was just going to say.
That sounds kind of a little Silence of the Lambs.
and that was
a woman's suit.
Okay, we're not talking about skinning women here. We're talking about Iron Man suits. So, yeah, there was another thing where they're going into the final battle on the ship, and Tony and Rhodey are, creeping up on it, and Tony runs out of bullets, and he's like, give me an extra clip, and Rhodey's saying, no, they're not universal, you can't use it, and he's like, well, I've made these things, I can't, and just Rhodey refuses to give him clips, so that later on, when they've got all these suits flying around, he's like, oh, sorry, they're all coded to me, you can't use them. I'm like, that didn't translate into a good moment,
I thought it was still dealing back with the whole kind of tension from the suits and stuff from that goes back to the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah, he is Iron Man. He can't give himself away.
Yeah, and then with Rhodey stealing the suit, and Rhodey wants the suit, and at first he had tried offering Rhodey the suit, it was completely just misunderstood, and there's this whole kind of back and forth about the suits that's just been an ongoing thing since the first movie. Well, I liked that moment.
Yeah,
it's just them continually trying to one-up each other.
Maybe, but I mean, it's only you two. I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D's not there, the military's not there, nothing. And it's just the two of them, and he's got Pepper to save. So give the guy a suit, dang it. And he doesn't. So it was a weak moment to me, personally. But there's plenty of other things to talk about.
President Ellis is the same president we have in Cap 2.
Oh, that's true.
I didn't even notice that.
I wonder if they're going to do something with him.
Also, he's Death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
That's right.
And the president from Roswell. I mean, not the president, the sheriff.
Sheriff, president. No big distinction there.
Same thing.
We also get a callback for Jensen. That was cool that we actually saw
That was
Jensen.
cool.
Yeah.
It was a callback in so many ways because Jensen said he met him at a conference before, and that was the conference they met. It was just great. So it was
like,
good.
I'm not surprised you don't remember me because you were drunk as hell, and we see him drunk as hell.
He was. So I did like that. I mean, there were moments like that in this movie that was good. It was just, again, it just didn't. I mean, it's not a bad movie. I'm not saying don't ever watch this ever. It's just when it comes.
Every time I've watched it so far, it makes me want to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang again.
I wrote this down, that his little narration at the very beginning really reminds me of him as the Kiss Kiss Bang Bang narrator.
Yeah.
Where he's like, wait, I need to go back.
Which should be, because same director / writer, and it's at Christmas, and there's a lot of the same, I guess, improvisational thing that they have going on where they have like the basic thing and then they'll let him just, apparently there's that scene where Maya shows up at his house and Pepper is still mad at him. And apparently they're like, yeah, what you don't see is the version of the scene that goes on for like a half hour because they wouldn't shut up.
And that would have been
they're
so
just
much,
like riffing back and forth.
That would have been so
Please
much
tell me
better.
you don't have a 12-year-old kid in the car.
Just 13.
That was good.
No, I'm kidding.
But that argument...
they should have let that play for a second longer, I thought.
That whole argument
They were talking about how their first cut of the movie was just so long, and they just had to keep cutting more and more because Marvel kept insisting, no, you need to have it shorter and have it shorter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that. But the whole argument between Pepper and Tony before the house gets missiled, that was so weak compared to their previous engagements with each other. It was like, this is not Pepper and Tony going back and forth. This is like two characters that don't know each other.
I think if your boyfriend gives your address to a terrorist and eggs him on, you get to be a little pissed about that.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think the argument should have been greater. I think there should have been more interplay between the two. I think she should have been screaming at him a little bit more, and she wasn't. It was just like,
The thing is, there's only so much. Okay, when it comes to women being angry in movies, there's only so much you can get before you get labeled as the hysterical girlfriend. So I think they were trying not to cross that line.
Right. And they also don't want to show too much of a relationship argument in a movie that they still want to market to young children as well.
I guess, but I mean, it didn't have to even be a relationship argument. It could have just been a strategic or tactical argument because they are kind of a team. She runs the company. He does all the superhero stuff. And that's the team in my book. Not to mention the fact that they are, in a relationship with each other. But I mean, I think the same argument that they had in Iron Man 2, the same arguments that they had in Iron Man, is the same sort of stuff that was missing at that moment. It wasn't hystericalness. It was just, it wasn't as strong of a back and forth as it could have been. That's all I'm saying. You're free to disagree with You always do anyway. SB is always wrong, right?
No, I will agree that this was not one of the stronger Marvel movies. However, it is for the most part enjoyable. I just need to fast forward through the freakouts and I can enjoy it a lot.
So the mention of the retroactive panels on a suit, I will love to see that either in Avengers 2 or some other time, because he said, hey, that's a good idea. And I would hate for them to drop that and not bring it up again. And then also the whole battle at Rose Hill got me thinking, in the Extremis, with the centipede stuff, right? In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we never see anybody melt other stuff, right? It's either they explode or they use extreme power. I mean, different version of the formula probably, but we never.
Yeah, well, it's part of a cocktail with some other stuff, so it changes the effects it has.
Right. But the whole thing over Tony saying, I was drunk one morning and I almost got it 20 years ago. I think I got you now. And he saves Pepper. And then during the whole thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when they realize that they have this issue with Centipede, they never even try to contact Tony to bring him in to help solve it. It's just kind of a...
Well, the ones that we see, the agents that we see are the field agents. So maybe the agents back at headquarters in a lab were talking to Tony. Maybe that's how they got Mike Peterson under control.
Oh, maybe. But at least they should have referenced that, don't you think?
Meh.
Not necessarily.
All right.
Because, I mean, people were already kind of giving them, crap for name dropping.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess I'm looking at it to be probably more combined than it really needs to be. I mean, we are talking about two different mediums. It has been the most connected universe that we've ever seen in terms of television and movie universes. I mean, 9 movies in the same realm, all with different main characters, really, and then a whole TV series, all connected in the same universe.
It's going to be 10 movies soon.
Right. And this is unprecedented.
3 TV shows by next summer.
3 TV shows? I mean, 2 TV shows.
2 TV shows,
Plus
but
Netflix.
Daredevil.
Yeah, well, there's 4 series with Netflix, right? So 6. 4 for Netflix and 2 for...
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did enjoy...
It's a lot of content.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
I did enjoy Stan Lee's very brief cameo, and I'm guessing he had a larger one that was cut out. That's the only thing I could think of, because it was very brief. It was 2 seconds, and it was a non-speaking role, and he usually
Apparently, there was more involved with the beauty pageant, and then they were like, but no, we need to keep the story moving forward.
Right. If there's something that you're going to cut out, that's what it's going to be.
I'm glad they didn't cut out the fire breathing, though. That was cool.
See, that bugs
fire?
me. I know that's a thing from the comics, but that always bugged me.
And that's another thing that we didn't get to see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which would have been cool, too. Talking about special effects teams.
I mean, come on, for special effects, just get a can of hairspray and a lighter and hold it at an angle where they can't see it. So...
Yep.
I mean, come on, everybody did that when they were kids, right?
Yep. 1960
Yes.
sci-fi. There you go. All right. The whole Pepper is dead thing at the end. Since I obviously know she didn't die when I saw it this time around, probably didn't have the same effect. But I was wondering, the first time when you saw it in the theaters, did you guys really think she died, or did you think she was coming back?
I didn't think she was dead.
I didn't think she was dead because there were some shots from the trailers that hadn't been used.
So you're like, okay, I'm going to get to see this. Yeah. And at the end, she deals with both of her extremis powers and controlling the suit in order to defeat him.
That was awesome.
Totally.
What she did with the suit, that was amazing. I want Pepper to do stuff like that from now on. Just come on, let her run the company and do like ninja action moves. That was amazing.
And Tony Stark is really the bodyguard, and Iron Man is actually Pepper Potts, right? That would be cool. Lauren, you got anything else? I know you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, so the one that I was convinced they were going to kill off was Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau's character.
Right.
Because they had just killed him off in the comics, like very shortly before, just a couple of years before. And when I saw in one of the trailers that he looked like he'd just been blown up, I was like, oh my God, no, they're going to do this thing. And it's going to be awful because it's Jon Favreau and he's not directing it anymore. He doesn't have to be in the movies. And I started freaking out. So I was happy that he lived.
Pun intended?
Also, I was so glad that I remember when the first trailers for the movie came out, like the first screen caps and stuff, there was that giant bunny, and everyone was like, what the hell is up with the giant bunny? So when it finally showed up, I was like, oh, that's why it's there. And the other thing was that scene where Iron Man rescues all those people that fell out of that plane, out of the Air Force One.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want your mind blown, go look up how they did that.
There's a whole featurette about that on the DVD and Blu-ray, by the way.
It's okay. You think CGI? Way less CGI than you'd think. There's an article on Cracked. It's like movie stunts that you won't believe how they did them or something like that. And that one was one of them.
Yep. They actually took a 747. They blew up the tail of it and they thrust 13 people out the back plus cameramen. And they shot the whole thing. It was and just one take.
They kept, well, no. They kept doing this they did it like 7 times a day.
Yeah.
They did this like 7 times a day for like a week. They had people dressed in like business attire jumping out of a plane. And the business attire is tailored so that you can't see their parachutes. They're professional skydivers.
Right.
And then, of course, you have the cameraman. You have somebody who's partially dressed in the Iron Man costume. And apparently it was like people were gathered around to watch because they're like, oh, my God, these people are actually falling. And then the parachute would open. And the director was saying that after a couple days of this, people started getting bored of it because it's the same thing over and over.
Yep.
And every 40 minutes, like clockwork, they would be back up there and doing it again.
Yeah, they took 2 days just to choreograph it because nobody had ever done anything like this before. And the last part of the scene where they actually dropped the 13 into the water, they did that via zip lines. So, It wasn't all done front to back, and no, they did not jump out of a 747, and they did not destroy a 747. They actually were jumping out of a Twin Otter. But
they did, however, destroy them. They made a version of Tony Stark's house and destroyed it.
That makes me sad.
I know.
And you get to see the part in the movie where Robert Downey Jr. broke his ankle, and they said it wasn't where you'd expect, like the part in the movie, not the part of his ankle that he broke.
Yeah, where was that?
Okay, it's towards the end when he's on the oil rig, which, by the way, Roxanne was mentioned in the first movie, so they kind of were setting it up from even then.
See, I was wondering about that because that kind of came out of nowhere for me because I didn't remember from the first movie. And
yeah, there's like a Roxanne truck that almost hits him in the final fight in the first movie. And Roxanne is actually a big part in Scarlet Spider, the comic, which takes place here in Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, there was another thing that I thought was a weak introduction just in the movie itself when they were trying to bring up that this was the fact that they were going to kill the president over was this oil spill and the fact that he basically covered it up politically anyway. It was like, we're not dealing with this at all in the movie and we haven't heard about it before, so why do I care again?
Because it's supposed to be making the Mandarin is supposed to be making a statement and freaking people out. That's what it is.
Right, but it just wasn't, it was like, well, who cares? It's a plot that I hadn't heard about before you just said it.
Well, it's the president. You're supposed to care. But anyway.
Depends on who's in office.
When he's jumping, death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, obviously you're going to care.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, also he's in Shawshank Redemption.
Awesome.
But so there's some part where he's like running around on the oil rig and they let him use like a real oil rig. And while he was running, it wasn't the part where you'd expect where he's jumping from one place to another. It's like he stepped wrong or landed wrong or something like that and just snapped his ankle.
So would you say that he snapped his ankle going down a loading dock door maybe?
I would not.
Okay, so we don't have
the Millennium Falcon shot first.
Well said, well said. But, in the voicemail, Adam had brought up the suits and everything, and that was one thing that I did really enjoy about this movie is that the evolution in technology with the suits, the fact that pieces and parts of the suits could act independently of each other. I mean, that's how Tony was saved, is Jarvis disconnected the hand and was able to lift the rest of Tony out of the rubble. Tony is often fighting with half a suit on or less throughout the entire movie.
I really loved that.
Yeah.
The at the end with the whole kind of mix and match suits.
Right.
When like bits and pieces are just kind of coming on and off. And so remember when the first pictures and trailers and stuff started coming out, everyone was like, oh my God, it's the Hulkbuster. This means that they're going to shoot Hulk into space and all this stuff.
Right.
They addressed that on the commentary. They're like, people need to not leap to conclusions. And I've probably already said too much. And now, leading up to Avengers 2, you've been seeing the concept art of the Hulkbuster armor, the actual Hulkbuster armor, and the Hulk and all the stuff. So we'll see. We'll see if we're leaping to conclusions again. And listening to them naming the armor was really funny. Like, apparently there was all sorts of armor that didn't make it into the movie. There was these two called Mary Kate and Ashley. They're going to switch people between them. There's going to be a tiny little one that just made coffee.
I need one of those.
I know, right?
Yeah, you need something
Stuff
to run
like
your
that.
K-cup machine. Oh,
Well, you need
funny.
something to press the button. I mean, it's not going to press itself.
Well, you gotta walk all the way to the kitchen. That's 15 feet. God, who has time?
Yeah, it would have been really great seeing these suits in a little bit more detail, but I think it's pretty cool the way they pulled it off. They did tip their hat off early on when they were talking about the Mark 42, because before then we had the Mark 7 in Avengers, right?
Yep.
And so there's 35 odd suits that have been produced in between there and here, and they're all in the basement. And they all come out at the end, which is pretty cool. Now, what was in his trailer at the end? Was that Dummy or you?
It was both of them.
Okay.
Which made me happy because, I don't know about y'all, but I've gotten weirdly attached to those two little robots.
I think everybody has.
I think
people have
Tony
written
has.
fanfic about them.
Right.
Where they're basically little robot dogs.
I know.
I mean, big robot dogs because they're about as big as me.
It was great that the kid had a mini dummy too.
Yeah, that was adorable.
There were definitely adorable things. But what else was in the trailer? Did you see? I didn't have a chance to stop it or anything.
I think it was just them, and they were just kind of covered in seaweed.
Okay. Sad to see the house go. We know Avengers Tower is out there, so we know Tony has a home to go to somewhere. And
Yeah, because we were really worried about him being homeless.
Well, I mean, he's been homeless in the comics. He always comes back from it. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
a couple nights sleeping under a bridge, he'll end up building a company from scratch again. He'll be fine.
Or, go out there into the universe and become a major defense contractor out there. Who knows?
Bruce Banner can teach him how to sleep in a hovel made of cardboard.
They can be science bros in the same cardboard box.
Without pants together. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Okay, Marvel, get on the phone with us. We got a new movie idea.
We do. Science Bros the movie, the cardboard box edition.
Science Bros, the road trip movie.
Make sure you put Agent 13 in it and I'm all in. You get all my money. All of it. All $12.37. All right. You guys got anything else? Lauren, are you done?
I've got a couple of things from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Happy wants robot janitors because he thinks it'll be more secure, and that's how we get Ultron.
Yeah. Oh, true.
So it's all Jon Favreau's fault.
Right.
Thanks, John.
And then, the first time I watched this, as Killian is leaving Stark Industries, he kisses Pepper on the cheek or whatever, and she gets this weird look on her face. And the first time, I thought he drugged her somehow with, the drugging lipstick that women always use.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's happened to me so many times.
Yep. I figured it had.
Yeah.
But nothing came of that.
No.
My favorite quote from the movie, which is something that I would probably say, if you're here to arrest me, there's some people I'd like to roll on immediately.
Yes.
Trevor. Ben Kingsley.
Helen Mirren.
He did, because he played 3 different characters in the movie. He was awesome.
Yes.
And we see him.
He's the Mandarin, and then he's Russell Brand.
Yeah. And we see him later on in a cutscene. Is it in Thor? It must be in Thor.
Oh,
Thor 2 is the Hail to the King short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny. And I'm glad that they were able to nab him again and include him more in the universe. So I hope he had fun doing the part, because definitely, I mean, it's the one part in the movie you're like, I can do that. I can act weird. I can act like a terrorist. And, he is. And it's not like the first Iron Man. It's not an actual 10 Rings guy. It's just an actor. That's all. For all the bashing that I have on this movie, it is entertaining. It is fun. I'm glad that we've had all these callbacks in it. The orbs, the little, video things that Killian had, awesome technology. I would love to have some. They were great. Talking about mobile technology.
Yes.
Lauren, anything else in your notes?
For the movie, no.
Okay. I've just got one last thing to say. Where's my sandwich?
Make your own sandwich.
Tony's telling the kid, make him a sandwich.
Yes.
All right. So next week, we, of course, have Thor 2 coming up.
Woohoo!
And I'm excited to see that again because I think it's going to be even better the next time I watch it. Other than that, remember, we have the contest, Coulson's badge. Get on the horn. We want the voicemails. Tell me why I'm wrong. Or your favorite why SB is wrong.
So when he was wrongest or the funniest way that he was wrong? Just whichever.
Yeah. We will give equal weight to either.
I'm
Entertain
against this.
us.
Yeah, well, I'm all for the entertaining, but I'm against this, right? Okay.
You don't get a vote.
Obviously.
Well, we voted
wrong.
and you lost.
I always lose. Okay, join us next week as we talk Thor 2. Go to our website, legendsofshield.com. Find all the great ways to contact us, right, Haley?
Yes, you can reach us at 844-THE-BUST-1. That's 844-843-2871. We've also got a Twitter account. We've got a Tumblr. We're on Facebook. All the places.
All the places. All right. Until next week, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer saying bye-bye now.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Lauren.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you'll find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.